All right, let's dive in. Today, we're decoding the secret language that powers every single successful project. We're talking about the business analysis core concepts, the absolute foundation from the BABOK guide that makes the difference between a home run and a total miss.
And just so you know, this training comes to you from Oasis&Brooks Ltd.
So, let me ask you this. Have you ever been part of a project with a brilliant, game-changing idea that just completely died on the table? You know, it starts with all this energy and then it just fizzles out, misses the mark, or worse, fails completely. It's super frustrating, right? Well, that exact problem is what good business analysis is built to prevent.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll look at why projects go off the rails. Then, I'll introduce you to the core concept model. Think of it as our guide. We'll talk about the key players, sort out that crucial difference between the what and the how, and finally, pull it all together into a blueprint for success.
Okay, first things first. Why do so many projects that start with so much promise just hit a wall?
Well, it almost always comes down to a few classic mistakes. You've got misunderstood needs, where the team builds something amazing, but it's not what was actually needed. Then there's the infamous scope creep, where the project just balloons out of control. You've got stakeholders who are all on different pages, pulling in opposite directions. But honestly, the biggest killer? Jumping straight to how we're going to build something before everyone truly agrees on what we're building and, most importantly, why.
And that is exactly where this comes in. The Business Analysis Core Concept Model, or BACCM for short, from the official BABOK guide. Seriously, the best way to think about it is like a GPS for any business change. It gives you 6 essential coordinates you have to lock in to stay on track and actually get where you want to go.
Now, the real magic here isn't just the 6 concepts themselves. It's how they're all connected. This is not a checklist, okay? It's more like a strand of DNA. Each concept is woven into the others, making up the fundamental code of your project. The big takeaway here is that you can't change one thing, like, say, the market context, without it affecting everything else. You'll have to rethink the need, the stakeholders, and even the value you thought you were creating.
So let's break them down. First, you've got change. Super simple, it's the transformation that the whole project is about.
And what kicks off that change? Well, that's the need. This is your why. It's the problem you're trying to solve or the opportunity you're trying to grab.
Okay, so you have a need. The solution is what you actually build or do to fix it. It could be new software, a streamlined process, whatever it is that satisfies that need.
And who are we doing all this for? That's where stakeholders come in. This is literally everyone who has a stake in this thing, from your customers to your boss, anyone impacted by the change.
And how do we know if we've actually succeeded? It all comes down to value. This is the end game, the real-world worth or usefulness the solution brings to a stakeholder. And let's be real, a project that doesn't deliver value is a failure, even if it was perfectly on time and on budget.
And last but not least, none of this happens in a vacuum. It all exists inside a context. This is the environment, the company culture, the market, the regulations that shapes everything we do.
Okay, theory is great, but let's make this real. We're going to zoom in on just one of those core concepts, stakeholders, and run it through a case study so you can see why getting this piece right is so important.
So, let's imagine a really common scenario. A bank is about to launch a brand new mobile banking app.
So who are our stakeholders here? Obviously, the end users, the customers. For them, value probably means an app that's fast and easy to use. But then you've got the sponsor, maybe the head of digital banking. For them, value is about growing the business or increasing profit. And don't forget the domain expert, like a senior bank teller who knows the real-world rules. Their definition of value is all about accuracy. And then there's the regulator, whose idea of value is that the app is 100% compliant with the law. See how every single one of them has a different definition of success? That's why you have to talk to all of them.
All right, let's untangle another one. This is a biggie that trips up so many teams. It's all about getting crystal clear on the what versus the how.
In the world of business analysis, this is the massive difference between a requirement and a design. A requirement is the need. It's what the business needs to achieve. A design is the solution. It's how we're planning to achieve it. You have to keep these two separate or things get messy fast. Let's make this super clear with some examples straight from the BABOK guide. A requirement, the need, is view 6 months of sales data. A design, the solution, could be a sketch of a dashboard. The need is to reduce the time it takes to pack an order. The solution could be a new process model.
See that clean split? We're always nailing down the what before we even start talking about the how.
So how do we pull all these ideas together into a simple blueprint that keeps us from crashing and burning like we talked about at the start?
Well, it creates this really powerful logical path. You start by defining the need. Then you go find your stakeholders. With their help, you nail down the requirements. That's the what. And only then, only after all that, do you start exploring designs, the how. When you do it this way, every single step is focused on that one ultimate goal, delivering real, tangible value. This is how you dodge those common pitfalls.
You know, the real superpower of a business analyst in all this is their obsession with one simple question. Why? Why do we need that button? Why is this step in the process? By constantly asking why, they connect every piece of the design all the way back to a real requirement that solves a real need for a real stakeholder. That's how you build value, not just features.
So, let's make this personal for a second. Think about a project you're on right now. How clearly have you actually separated the what from the how? Are you already debating designs and mock-ups before everyone in the room even agrees on the fundamental problem you're trying to solve?
And I'll leave you with this to think about. Look back at those 6 core concepts: change, need, solution, stakeholder, value, and context. In your world, on your projects, which one of those gets ignored the most? Because I guarantee you, the answer to that question could be the key to your next big win.